Hey guys, on today's episode, Chad Lentscher and I are sitting down with Sam Henderson. He's an Impact alumni and now a recovery specialist with us. We talk about his story and his big transformation from active addiction to a life of recovery. It's really great. Tune in. Welcome to Impacting Recovery Uncensored. I'm your host, Sarah Pritchard. This is a podcast where we dive deep into the real, uncensored truths about addiction, recovery, and everything in between. No sugarcoating and no judgment, just honest conversations that can help lift up the solution. So let's get started. Today, we have Chad with us. He's our co-host for the day. My co-host, we're co-hosts. And
That's
then
right.
we also have Sam Henderson, who is actually an Impact alumni and now one of our recovery specialists. So how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Doing okay over there?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever done a podcast before?
No, this will be my first time.
Yes. Well, that's many of us, all of us, before
Yeah.
we started this thing. So, but today, what we wanted to talk about is just really about your story. Thank you for being willing to share because I think it is so important. I say this a lot, but I do think it's very important to hear different experiences from the team and just in general because people resonate with different people. So it's not always easy for some people, but I appreciate you being willing and coming on. And I think it's going to be really powerful for a lot of people. So. But I guess before we get into the details of your journey with us and how all that started, and I really don't know a lot about your backstory at all, so it's always nice when it's new to me in here because I get to learn. But take us back kind of where, and we may backtrack after this, but to where things started to become a problem.
Let me tee Sam up real
Yeah.
nicely here. So Sam arrived at our place and then sat on the couch and pouted for a week straight and did not smile and did not want to be there and hated the world and I'm sure was convincing himself that this was completely unnecessary and probably a little aggressive. And, we just do what we do and we're consistent and we were kind, right?
Yeah.
And then one morning I came in and, it didn't appear that Sam cared for me, but I always came in and just said good morning and was pleasant. And then one day he smiled at me and I said, I saw that. And that was the beginning of something. So take us from how you got to Mr. Pouty Pants and then to Mr. Smiley, how things got so bad and then what took place in that week, what changed and kind of
Like in my time
knocked you
at
off center.
Impact?
Well, get us to Impact.
Okay.
But then what happened in that week? What event or series of events took you to just kind of knock you off center and get you believing that, hey, there's some hope for me to get well? Basically, do exactly what Sarah asked you to do. I just wanted to give the audience some context.
Well, I mean,
Yes, we needed that.
yeah.
things really started getting pretty bad when everything started when I was about 13. I mean, I had a bunch of friends die of drug overdoses at a very young age, and my parents didn't know what to do, so they sent me off to a military boarding school, and I spent from 10th grade till I graduated and every summer school at this military boarding school. And then I went straight from there, and I mean, I still got in some trouble there and everything, but there's not much you can get in trouble at an all-guys military boarding school in the middle of nowhere.
Did you like it there or were you miserable?
I had a good time. I mean, I wouldn't say I liked it. I mean, I liked the people that I met and the friendships that I made through there. But after we graduated, everybody went their own separate ways.
Did you like the discipline, the structure?
The discipline and the structure helped me actually go to school and do everything that I was supposed to do. It kept me in line, but I mean, I was still finding ways to sneak off campus and get alcohol and get some drugs and stuff. Like, I was still doing it, but it kept me like more on a rigid path of I can do this and maintain this as long as someone's riding my butt about it.
Yeah.
And then I went to University of Alabama and only lasted, did I say a year? But I want to say as soon as I got initiated into the fraternity, it was like a month later I was in jail and kicked out of school. So I don't even think I lasted a whole year there. And then from there, that's when it got really bad. Like, my parents were done with me. I've been arrested multiple times, and it's just, I was homeless for 2 years, living in the minivan after I totaled my, like, fourth car. My dad bought me a minivan, was like, he won't total this one. And I totaled everything and lived in the minivan for 2 years, bounced around on people's couches and stuff.
And Sam, talk about this for a minute. Because you grew up with opportunity, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to be a person of opportunity. What is that? Just what is that about that you don't want to be privileged or?
I always had this idea that like I could do it on my own, and I wanted to control the narrative of my own life and not follow in the shadow of my parents and my sibling. I wanted to be kind of my own person.
Which is admirable, but sometimes you can do that to your detriment.
Yeah, and I think that's what I did. I think I went and tried to do everything on my own. Like, I didn't speak to my family during all this time, and I'm sure if I reached out to them, they would just spoke to me, but I just assumed that they were the enemy. I thought that they wanted to take everything away from me, and they didn't like me for who I was. So I just kind of took myself out of the picture.
And that's so strange. As now being a parent, can you ever imagine being your daughter's worst enemy?
No, I can't.
That's the way we start to think about our folks. Like, they are trying to ruin my life.
Right.
I mean, has that thought ever crossed your mind with your kids?
No.
Like, one day I'm going to ruin these kids' lives.
Right. Yeah, no, never. And so when you were living in your van, was it drugs or alcohol or both?
Well, then it was really just a lot of alcohol, and I mean, your occasional pot smoking, occasional taking some pills and stuff at parties and stuff, but it was mainly just alcohol. The drugs didn't really come into play. Like, I'd gotten myself, I did what a good addict does, and I manipulated my dad into thinking that everything was okay, and he helped me get a really good job doing construction, doing deep foundation drilling, and I was operating a drill rig, and I was probably making close to $2,025 a week, and I was doing, on the outside I was doing good, but I moved out to Walker County with some coworkers, and we had these neighbors who, we lived on this hill with a bunch of trailers and stuff, and we had these neighbors who they were all into meth and stuff, and I started doing it with them. And I mean, I can still to this day remember the first time I did it. Like, I snorted some and I felt complete, and I was like, this is it, I'm doing it for the rest of my life. I literally said that out loud.
Wow.
And that's when things really went downhill.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because so many addicts and alcoholics have that moment with a substance. And it may not be the first time or the second time, but at some point, the drug addict or alcoholic gets to a place of like, this is the answer. This is what I need for life. And that'll be up here, and everything else will be below that. And so when it started to go downhill, what happened after that?
Well, I mean, I was able to kind of maintain it so I worked at that company for 7 years, and I was able to maintain it for like
impressive.
5 years. Things were kind of good. And then, as every drug addict goes through, it's one thing starts piling up and piling up. I start thinking that the boss is out to get me, and they're putting me on these smaller paying jobs just because they don't like me. And what it really is I'm late to work every day. I'm not doing anything when I'm there. I'm just causing issues. And I mean, what really turned it off for me was I was on a bunch of Xanax and been up for probably 2 weeks, and I texted the dude who is in charge of putting people on jobs and stuff and just ripped him a new one and blamed him for everything and said some things I shouldn't have said. And then I got an email saying just don't come back to work. So then I was stuck, and that was right when COVID hit too. So then I was stuck. And I was living at this farm with a kid who I went to high school with, and he was real bad on heroin and meth and everything. And it was just 2 years of me doing nothing but living at this farmhouse in the middle of Fultondale, just hating life.
Yeah. And so how did you get from the farm to the other farm to the barn at Impact?
That's a long journey. That was, multiple rehabs in between.
Okay.
I went to this faith-based rehab it's more like a church camp, but it's like a 10-month program, and I stayed there for 10 months because I had got arrested, and I was waiting for the court to say, your felony's been dropped. Once the felony gets dropped, I go home and just continue the same cycle of just being miserable. I did like 15 days in a detox one time, and I only went just to please a bunch of people. But what got me to Impact was I was working at a hardware store as a small engine mechanic, and I'd gotten arrested for like the 6th time. And it was just, I didn't know what to do at this point. And I went to the boss, the owner of the store, and I just sat down. I literally got out of jail, get dropped off at my house. I see my baby mama stealing my truck, driving off.
When did your child come into play? Like how soon after the farmhouse?
How soon after the farmhouse? It was probably... So she was born in 22.
Okay.
So it was
a couple years.
So I after I went to the church rehab, I got out, got high after a month of being out, and then started working traveling construction again with one of my buddies. And then I did what I always do is I think everybody's out to get me, blow up on people and cause issues, and just I say I got fired. I didn't get fired. I think I just left. In a fit of anger, just left and never went back.
I'm jumping ahead, but have you had an opportunity to clean some of that up?
Some, yes.
Good.
Some, yes. The others I have tried to reach out to, and I just hadn't heard anything back, and I was planning on reaching out to them again.
Yeah.
But when I left that job, my parents, me and my baby mom had been together on and off since we were 13 years old. And then we were consecutively together while I was working out of town after both of us went to this faith-based treatment center. And then I find out she's pregnant. I start losing my head, and I come home, and she won't speak to me. So I'm living with my parents for a month. And then I get my own apartment because I had a little money saved up from working construction and stuff. And I'm working at the hardware store. And then probably 2-3 years down the road, that's where the Impact comes into play.
So you're talking to the owner of the hardware store.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there talking to the owner of the hardware store, and I just said, I don't know what to do anymore. I can't do it. I hadn't seen my daughter in a long time, and it's been like constant fight. Like, I get arrested the week before for showing up at where my baby mama lives and causing a scene, trying to get to see my kid. And then I get arrested with my baby mama a week later with paraphernalia. She left me sitting there on the side of the road with a gun and paraphernalia, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do here anymore.
Chaos.
And he tells me that he knows of a good place because I believe his son came through Impact, and he told me that he immediately called, I think he called Dicus, and within the next hour, I was up at Impact.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And when did you start regretting that decision?
Probably the very next morning. Like
Okay,
right when I
so
woke
day
up.
one, you were okay.
Yeah, day one, because day one, I was so broken and I didn't know what to do. And my dad had hit me with some hard truth when I walked in the door, and it was just, I didn't know what to do. And then day one, kind of when I could kind of look around and figure things out, I was like, yeah, this is not it.
Isn't that amazing how quickly we can go from broken to I have all the answers?
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned your dad hit you with some hard truth, because I've heard that multiple times. Like, you've mentioned it before, Dicus, like with the fathers hitting them with some hard truth or saying something that like, and the sons take it really hard and personally, but the way y'all have described it is like, it kind of made the light bulb go off a little bit, or like, I don't know, change the perspective a little bit. So
I think with all three of us, I know with my dad, whether he said it or not, the sense was get this right or I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know your mom is never, she could say that. It's never going to happen.
Right.
You know, that's why we love our moms. But just the idea that I think he's serious. I think he's really done.
Yeah, for sure. And so did you even during the times when you were going to a different program or detox, or even when you came to Impact, did you have any idea of what a life would look like sober? Like, did you want to be sober?
Not until Impact.
Okay.
I mean, there was part of me that still wanted to go out and get high when I first got to Impact, but mainly I wanted to get sober because I knew I couldn't keep going anymore. I was done.
Yeah.
I mean, the couple weeks prior to going to Impact, I mean, I think within a span of 3 weeks, I overdosed like 8 times. And I was just, I couldn't keep going. I was 115 pounds. I had sores all over my body, and I just couldn't walk down the hallway without feeling like death.
Yeah.
And it was just, I didn't know what to do anymore.
That is insane. 8 times in a short period of time. Crazy.
You were rough coming in the door. I don't think you had a ton of clothes, and the clothes you had were not very clean.
They were not.
And you didn't weigh very much.
Well, and so I had on here, I was curious to know what Chad's first impression of Sam was, but we've already covered that. But Sam, what was your first impression of Chad and of Impact in general?
Of Impact in general, man, I don't really know. I mean...
Were we the enemy at that point in time?
I don't think y'all were the enemy. I knew, because I'd been to enough treatment programs. I'm like, these guys just want people to get well, and I get it, but like, this just isn't for me. Like, this is,
we hear
I
that
can get
so
well.
often.
I can go home, and because like in my mind, my parents were the enemy. My baby mama was the enemy. My boss at the hardware store was the enemy, and he's the one who helped me get to Impact. But in my mind, all these people were orchestrating this whole plan to take my daughter from me.
Mm-hmm.
And there was probably some truth to that. You weren't a very good father,
No,
right?
I was not. And that's what happened, but in my mind, it was the end of the world. But like after some time being sober and talking to my parents about it and everything, just my short time at Impact and then in the sober living, it was, they explained to me is they're doing everything they can so I can have a relationship with my daughter. And if they hadn't done what they've done today, I mean, she wouldn't be spending the night at my house. She wouldn't be with me almost every day.
Yeah.
And so I thought that everybody was the enemy trying to take things away from me because my mind only let me see the negative side of things, none of the positive.
Yeah. Well, and it's like in that moment or those moments, it's like, yeah, you're like, this is my child. How could you take my kid away from me? Even when I was in active addiction, I didn't have children yet, but I just remember being like, it's my life. I'm an adult. And I cannot imagine having a kid involved because I would be like, absolutely not. Like, you're not even coming close to it. But what a lot of times parents that have been in active addiction with their kids, they talk about kind of the moment you talked about of this like moment of clarity of like, I haven't been capable to take care of the child. And so, like, thank goodness you had your parents, like you said, to be able to scoop her up for the time being while you had a chance to get well. Was it hard being in there? I guess you weren't seeing her anyway, so was it?
I wasn't seeing her consecutively. I mean, it was like pulling teeth for me to try to get to see her. And my baby mama, she's in active addiction as well, and I'd get to see her when she needed her fix, so she'd come over and I'd get to see my daughter and everything. But then like the week up to going to Impact, I didn't get to see her at all. So, I mean, it kind of makes me sound like a bad parent, but it wasn't really that hard not seeing her because I really wasn't that involved with her. And Impact was nice enough to let me video call her every now and then. But for the majority of the time of me at the inpatient, my parents didn't. There's so much going on behind the scene that I didn't know about until later. That my baby mama had picked up Lila and ran off with her and she was gone for like a month or whatever. But my parents were very calm about it, which kind of bothered me. And I was like, which behind the scenes, we have all these private investigators and we have all these other people who had been investigating me and my baby mama for almost the entire year before I go to Impact that none of us knew about.
Wow.
So my parents did everything they could to protect my daughter and to try to help me get well. And the whole time I just thought they're doing this to just ruin my life.
Yes. Well, and that's
Super
such
parents.
yes, I know. And that's such a good point about there's so much going on behind the scenes because there always is.
Yeah.
Like there always is. But the addict or alcoholic can't see that or know that and so it is a lot of times like once we get sober, it's like, oh, I didn't even know all that was going on. I didn't know it took 5 different people just to get me on the phone with somebody on the admissions office. Like it's a lot. And private investigators, I mean, that's like a whole nother level. So, I mean, that's pretty incredible. So when Chad mentioned he saw a smile that day.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you remember what got you there?
You know, it started with Jacob took me on a walk and we had a talk because, I mean, I was in the office every day asking to leave. I think in one group I got angry with you. I mean.
And now that makes sense sitting here when you're like, everyone's out to get me. And I just remember being like, because you were so quiet and then you got angry and I was like, this, like, it was kind of like caught me off guard, but it was fine. But I was just like, what? He's not happy.
And Jacob Schwartz took me on a walk and we had a talk and he kind of laid it out to me. I was like, I'm not happy here. And he explained to me that I'm not trying to get you happy. I'm trying to get you some peace, some joy, and some serenity in your life. And then he told me I can do pretty much whatever I want to do, just go to groups and just he told me to give him a week. And that's what I did. And about a week later, or not a week later, a couple days go by, and I'm sitting there on the couch joking around with some of the guys while they're cooking breakfast and smiling and having a good time.
So do you think you just kind of like let your sword down and you're just like, all right, like I might as well just try.
Yeah.
Or I might as well just see what happens kind of thing, just a little more willing than
I
you
just
weren't.
became willing to just do it. I'm done fighting. I've been fighting my entire life. Because, I mean, from a young age to 29 when I went to Impact, I was in constant fights. I was a very angry person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my parents would take me to therapists and stuff to try to figure out why he's so angry. And I never could figure it out. And then through doing this work and everything, it's like that anger's almost completely gone. I mean, I still get angry, but I can control it a lot better. And I hadn't really seen that side of me in the past year.
Yeah.
I've never seen you get angry since that. You know, and I didn't see a lot of anger in that first week or two.
I think it was because I was completely broken when I got to Impact. I was just, I mean, physically broken and mentally I just couldn't keep running anymore. I mean, I was fighting so hard to keep this narrative that I had in my head going. I wanted my baby mama, her daughter, my daughter in my house all together living a happy life with me going to work. And I wanted that perfect life. And I was doing everything I could to make that happen, that I eventually destroyed that. And that's one of the character defects that was pointed out to me by someone at Impact, that was I make my biggest fears come true. I try so hard and it makes my biggest fears come true. And that's exactly what happens.
Yes. I had a similar experience when I wrote inventory for the first time of like, I was so scared, like in these relationships, like he's going to leave me. And they would always leave me. It's like, because I'm projecting that fear onto them and I'm being a crazy person. And so like, yeah, of course I'm not putting out this like good energy. And so, yeah, it's like, I get you when you're saying like, you're trying to hold on to something so tightly and like, just make it work. When in reality, if we just let go and let things play out, it usually turns out a lot better than we could have hoped anyway.
Yep.
And it did, right?
It did, yeah. It did.
And so Chad, I was going to ask you, and you kind of touched on a few things, but were there certain areas of Sam's life that you saw that he was failing versus like areas that like he had some together? Like I'm kind of thinking of like the tree of life, you know, were there some areas?
Oh, I think you would agree that you had failed beyond measure walking in our door.
Oh, yeah.
And what makes that so amazing is how quickly God restored things when you started just showing a little bit of willingness. I mean, God put it together for you.
Yeah, he put it together pretty fast.
Pretty quickly. You know?
Yeah. And you, because you went to phase 2 for a little bit
For
after.
2 months.
Okay. And so even in phase 1 and phase 2, at that point, do you remember, was there a moment when you remember like the obsession being lifted or a day of you not thinking about drugs and alcohol?
I want to say it was kind of like, so what, I was at the barn for 42 days. I want to say it was like day 15 or something like that. It's just, I woke up and I wasn't thinking about using and drinking anymore. And it was just more thinking about everything that I have to lose if I don't do this right.
Were you still thinking I got to fix it at that point in time?
No, it wasn't that I got
Yeah.
to fix it. Because by that point, I think it was like almost a week after the obsession was lifted that I was served paperwork while I was on the pickleball court. Now it was to the point of I have to sign custody of my daughter over to my parents.
And you handled all that very well.
I had to, I got rid of my apartment. I talked to my parents that night. And they were like, we have to get rid of your apartment. We can't keep paying for it. And I just, instead of arguing with them and fighting and be like, well, no, hold on to the apartment. I can pay you back, making up some scheme to figure things out. I just said, go for it. Get rid of it. And I mean, I just threw my hands up and just kind of cleaned the slate.
But
Yeah.
you talked to us about, and that's the part I thought you did really well, is you came to us and said, like, this is what's going on. It's
Yeah.
terrifying. I'm afraid this is going to backfire and not work out. But you walked through it all.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I love when I hear stories about that, when it's just like, all right, we're giving up. Because quite honestly, like, I don't think there's any other option. If we're still trying to hold on to these little things, it's like our minds are so wrapped up in that. How could I possibly have enough mental headspace to be doing this recovery stuff?
Mhm.
Like if I'm half in, half out, which I've had experience with. So, and so was that, would you say like I don't know, was there a particular time in your experience where it just like totally shifted? Was it that walk with Jacob?
Yeah, it was pretty much the walk with Jacob and then tied in with the like just giving everything up. Just
Yeah.
being like, okay, I'm done. I was just,
You had several of those events. And it seemed like every time you did it, you just got a little lighter. Things seemed to you just moved, you know,
it's like
through
a
the
weight
barn.
off my
Yeah.
shoulders. I was like, I don't have to worry about this anymore. I can just focus on trying to rebuild my life.
Yeah. Chad, when did you and the team, when did everyone be like, Sam's good to join?
You know, we're always kind of discussing next man up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly when it happened, but I remembered we were all in agreement.
Yeah.
That it was kind of like, this Sam kid's kind of killing it, you know? And yeah, we were all on the same page with Sam. I don't remember the time frame.
Was there anything in particular that you thought would make him a good member of the team?
He was well liked by everybody, so that's always helpful. But I think a lot of times for us, it's, you know, we look at the depths that they come from, the extent of the transformation. You know,
Right.
when a guy goes from, I'm not sure if this guy hates me or wants to kill me, to, hey, can I talk to you about something? Like that just, you know, it tugs at your heartstrings, and you want that guy on your team, the guy that's had that profound of a change.
Yeah, I agree. You had like a true 180 in your behavior, your reactions to life, all of that. And I think that's so helpful being closer to how long sober do you have now?
15, a little over 15 months.
Okay, yeah. So we can round up to almost a year and a half. But, versus somebody like Chad who's how
I'll have 17 next
17.
month. Yeah.
So, because it can be overwhelming for someone with day 1, day 2 of like 17 years. I can't even go 17 days. And just you sharing on how quickly that change happened for you when you let go. And let go is so thrown around so much, I feel like, but really just like the surrendered moment of like, I'm not going to try to fix and manage and make things happen or figure anything out. Like, just let it get figured out for me and see what happens. Did you ever think you would be working in the substance abuse field?
No, I did not. Honestly, my plans were to go to Impact, get some arrest records off my back, and convince people that I'm okay, and then go back to, I guess, working at the hardware store and get my daughter back and go back to my old apartment. But quickly into my stay at Impact, things changed, and I didn't know it. I remember having a conversation with Chad, and I was like, I don't know what to do after phase 2, and he said, well, what did your parents think? I said, they said I could stay as long as I need. He said, well, just stick around.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
What was your reaction when we invited you to work with us? Was there some hesitation, any fear, or was it?
Yeah, I said, okay, I'm in. I was okay with it. I was cool with it. I mean, I think the only person I really talked to about it with was my dad, just because, I mean, I seek my dad's approval a lot. He might not know it because I don't let him see that side of me, but I do.
We all want it.
And so I called him immediately, and I was like, I don't know how it's all going to look moving down forward, but they did offer me a full-time position, and I think I'm going to go with it. And he said it was the best thing for me to do.
Oh, yeah. It's always nice when you get that approval. Like, yeah, you're on the right track.
Well, talk about your relationship with am I getting ahead with mom and dad and your daughter? What's that look like today?
Today, it looks pretty good. We work together to raise my daughter. So, like, my daughter stays with my parents. Right now, they have custody of my daughter, and I have overnight unsupervised visits and stuff. And we're going to go back in a couple months for us to do joint custody together. But
she knows their grandma and grandpa.
Yeah,
right?
She knows her grandma and grandpa, and
she knows your dad.
Yeah,
yeah.
And so we work together to raise Lila, and I spend pretty much the days with her, and then she goes with them at night, and we coordinate with each other. We talk to each other all the time. Like, if I didn't have the relationship that I have with my parents now, then maybe that narrative of they're trying to take my daughter from me could still possibly be there.
Yeah.
But we have a good relationship now. Like, my parents invite me to go down to the beach with them now. They invite, and these are people who.
I mean, you're driving mom's car right now.
Yeah, I'm driving mom's car right now. These are people who like didn't speak to me for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And they were completely done with me. And then the relationship with my siblings have gotten a lot better as well. Just from me showing up and being around and putting effort and caring about what they have going on in life.
So did they know you were going to Impact? Like, or did you call them when you got
So my boss at the hardware store called my dad.
Okay.
And because I think my dad said no at first, that he wouldn't pay for it and he wouldn't help me out. And then I think after my boss told me to go home and sleep, and that he'll be in touch in an hour. And I didn't have a phone or anything because my baby mama had my phone. So my boss gave me his cell phone, and he was like, go home. When this phone rings, answer it. I was like, okay. And he calls me, and he goes, your dad will be at your apartment in 30 minutes to pick you up. And at this point, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I'm going.
When was the last time you'd seen your dad prior to that?
Couple months.
Yeah. And what was that interaction? Was he angry? Was he...
The last time I saw him?
When he came to pick you up?
When he came to pick me up, I think he was just he was over it. I can see it today. I'm high, laying on the couch in a disgusting apartment with 2 lines ready to go for when I get picked up. And he doesn't even have to open the door. The door had been kicked in, so he just pushes the door and it opens, and he walks in, and there's stuff everywhere. And he sees me do 2 lines of heroin, and then he says, "Are you coming?" I said, "No, I'm not going." And he just turns around and starts walking off. And that's why I had no clothes when I got to Impact, because I grabbed the closest thing next to me and said, "Okay, I'm coming."
That's too funny.
Oh my gosh. And so I'm assuming you got to clean that up with them and sit down with them. And have they shared any feedback on like seeing a difference in you? Or?
They have. When I made my amends to my parents, I did them both separately. I did them the same day, but both separately.
Smart.
And it was pretty emotional on both sides. Like, my dad got really vulnerable with me and owned up to some of the things that he felt he did wrong. And ever since then, I mean, me and him, I feel like had been very vulnerable with each other and been able to talk about things.
Y'all are homies now.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Like, he explained to me that he had prayed and asked God because he didn't know what else to do. And he had asked God to just take it away, just let me go be with him, take it away. And that he felt really bad about that. So he had to go make confession about it and everything. And I told him, I'm like, I'm not mad that you did that because you didn't know what to do anymore. I didn't know what to do.
I think a lot of parents secretly do that.
I had those prayers sometimes. Just like, God, let's just end this today. I'm done.
Yeah. Well, and isn't it funny? Like, a lot of time, or not a lot of times, but sometimes with the amends process, we're obviously there to clean up what we've done, but then they'll come back and be like, share some stuff like your dad did, or, you know, like I'll have friends be like, I just had no idea. I should have been there. I should have checked on you more. I'm like, no, you could have done nothing different. Like, but so that's neat. So would you say there's been, like, on your life today, what has been the biggest impact? Or is it everything since then?
It's pretty much everything since then. But, I mean, if I could pinpoint it down, like, the biggest, like, impact to, like, continue to stay sober, or, I mean, I think it's the talking to the newcomers and working with other addicts and alcoholics. I mean, I really have enjoyed meeting new people, talking to people. And I'm a person who, man, I would go to parties and stuff, even in active addiction, and I wouldn't talk to people. I'd do my own thing. Be over off doing some sketchy stuff in the back of the party, you know? But, like, now it's like I go out and actually, like, if I see someone that I know from a meeting or from my past life at a gas station, I go up, shake their hand, talk to them now. Instead of I used to just get what I want and sneak around so they didn't see me. Yeah. It's like, that's, I think, been the biggest impact, just how life is moving forward and how I can interact with people.
Right. I know. I feel you on that. And it's, I mean, I don't know if you believed it when it was being taught to you or whatever while you were in phase 1, because I'm remembering, like, when I was freshly sober and they're like, Sarah, you're going to talk to newcomers and try to help people and this and that. Like, I had no motivation for that. And then it just kind of, like, happened. I didn't just, like, wake up and be like, I'm ready to go help people. Like, it, like, gradually became where I can't not go up to somebody at the gas station, or, you know, like, whereas before I was very similar, just kind of like hiding back. And I think that just speaks to your transformation as well, like how much that's changed. So that's really neat. Chad, anything else you wanted to add with Sam, or questions, or?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
Yeah. Sam, anything you want to add?
Not that I can think of.
I guess the last thing I'll ask is if there's someone struggling with addiction or a family member that's struggling with a loved one in maybe a similar situation as to what you were in, do you have any advice or anything you would say to them?
To someone who's struggling with addiction, I mean, I want to say this, but I don't want it to sound kind of harsh or whatever, but just stop being stubborn and give it a chance. Because, I mean, that's what it took for me. That's what it took for me. I had to finally get outside of my own mind and the delusions that I was living in and just be like, okay, this is not working. Let me listen to what someone else, just take the suggestions that are given to me.
Yeah, definitely. Because when you were talking about earlier, I forget what you were saying, but in my head I was like, he's stubborn.
Yeah.
Just like many of us, just like me, just like I'm sure Chad was. We know Adams is. But yeah, because it is. It's like, are we going to try to be stubborn and stuck in our own ways and try to be right? Or can we just let go? Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks. And thank you for tuning in to another episode. I hope today's conversation has inspired you, opened your mind, maybe even your heart a little bit. But remember, you're not alone. If you found this episode helpful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And we'll have all the links below to our social media. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But until next time, keep making an impact. Bye, guys.